I want to say something.
What do you want to
really
say?
don't like how my wig is styled today.
Why
I
would you
feel
start
like
the
I'm
video
like
with that?
I feel like I'm like emo in middle school.
They made her emo!
Nothing.
Hey.
There's nothing wrong with emo. Just saying, but like like the.
She's worried about offending all the emo kids out there.
I feel very like.
What's
I'm
wrong?
like,
Oh,
oh
like,
mom,
what do
like
you not like
I'm listening to Green Day. Like leave me alone.
So, welcome back to the series. We're tentatively calling this the Dani Show. But basically, how this program works is Dani has no idea what I'm going to say or talk about beforehand, but I just try and give her topics to talk about, and I think that people generally like what you have to say. So, the first thing I thought we could share with them is how this past week you hired or I guess I hired a public speaking coach.
So you do your real big and then switch. Take out your tongue as far as I go. 1, 2, 3. Do that. You can do that right.
I did.
You spoke on a panel.
I did.
That was great, right?
I spoke on a panel to women Generation X, interacting with your audience and asking questions and following up in the next video. I was really nervous, but then I got up there and I was like, wait, I'm a master at this.
So I guess a little bit of the backstory. So, and we'll have like a full YouTube video that comes out about this, but every time Dani like speaks, she gets really overwhelmed, and when Dani gets overwhelmed, she gets really stressed out, and when she gets stressed out,
she gets me. I nervous eat. Every single time I get nervous, I just nervous eat. I get hot Cheetos.
The people who feel the effects of her stress are typically
her most loved ones.
Her most loved ones, so me and Cassidy. We knew that she was gonna be public speaking this coming week. We decided to prevent all the stress that was gonna come from it and hire a public speaking coach. So I found a public speaking coach online. I literally put it on Dani's Instagram stories and I said, hey, this is Jordan.
Y'all, she was legit. Linda was
so
legit.
Awesome.
Like, I felt so bad because she came over, I was in like my PJs essentially, like jogger pants and slippers, and she came over dressed to the nines, like so professional, and I'm like, what's up, Linda?
I know. I didn't really give you much of a introduction.
Everything, like, I feel like the last couple of weeks, like, you and Cassidy have been like conspiring against me.
Conspired.
For you.
For me.
For you.
But like surprising me, and I don't really like surprises. But if you want to surprise me with like a gift, I'm okay with that. But other types of surprises, like even experiential surprises, I don't really do well with that.
Okay, but wait, you liked it. You had fun.
I had fun because Linda was cool, but like what if the public speaking coach would have been mean or tough?
It would have been really awkward. But I asked a lot of questions. I was like, hey, listen, because she was like, okay, where's your office? And I was like, you want to come into our living room? And then she was like,
or Dani's office.
Yeah, she was like, what is this? So, but she ended up being a really good sport about it.
You are a cockroach. Cockroaches survive everything. You try to throw a book at them, they still are surviving. You try to hit them with your shoe, they're still living. You can make it.
So basically, we hired a public speaking coach, full video coming soon, but that was like a big part of our last week. But another big part of our last week was the bloodwork /HR, or Hair Restoration Institute. So big topic, obviously. Dani wear wigs now.
Dani wear wig now.
Dani wear wig.
And I finally got my blood work done because, so the video we posted about me wearing a wig, like, that video I really put out there because I was like, I just don't want to get questions about this anymore. Like, I just want to tell people that I'm losing my hair and this is the situation. But it really kind of like popped off, and I think that a lot of people were like, oh my gosh, I relate to this. And so also a lot of people in the comments were like, you need to get your blood work done. And like, I feel fine, you know what I mean? Like, I feel healthy, so I was like,
oh my gosh, should we tell them the story about the first hospital we went to for blood work?
oh. We basically went to a really scary place.
This is a scary place.
So technically we're self-employed, so like insurance is kind of interesting. And so we have providers, and they introduced us to this new hospital, and we went, it was like...
Also, can I just say like how bougie we are? We drink orange juice out of wine glasses because why not?
Or because everything else is dirty. Anyway, we ended up going to a really scary like clinic. And when I say scary, I mean
no. Let me just say this.
It was scary.
I feared for my life. Like, we pulled up and there was like a shoe store, and then like a salmon, like a fish shop, And then it was like the doctor. Anyway, we pulled up and so we go inside. I mean, the stench alone was rough. And then we sit down and we're like filling out the paperwork and we're both just like kind of like giggling like next to, like kind of like looking at each other.
Yeah.
So a lady walked in that had guns tattooed all over her body, like pistols. And I was like,
oh, remember she was like on speaker.
oh, and she
too?
was on speaker, like
Oh my
screaming
gosh.
and like, you know, like, okay, if you're in like a tough conversation, you walk into a room, like that's fine. She had the other person on speaker and she was on speaker and walked into the doctor's office screaming, and like me and Joy were sitting there like.
So that's why it took a little while to get blood work done, because we made that mistake. But then you went to the Hair Restoration Institute. They they put the magnifying glass on your scalp and stuff. Remember that?
So basically, like, I don't know if y'all have heard this, but a lot of people have been saying that people that have been using that Batiste dry shampoo have been losing their hair. I don't know if that's accurate or not. It's on the internet these days, you know. And but what's interesting about that was when I went to the Hair Restoration Institute, they took a not a magnifying glass.
It's like a scope.
It was like a scope camera, and they kind of like zoomed in on your hair particles or follicles. And a lot of people have a lot of buildup like on their scalp, and it kind of clogs the pores, so it can like prevent your hair from growing. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense for all the people that have been talking about the dry shampoo, because people that use all this dry shampoo, like, you know, and I don't really know if I know what I'm talking about. These are just like my thoughts, but people that use a lot of dry shampoo, you know, like you don't wash your hair for a week and you're just spraying that dry shampoo, all that buildup is sitting on your scalp, clogging the pores. I don't know, I'm not a doctor, but it's really making sense for me. So anyway, they looked at that, but my hair follicles were clear.
Yeah, no, that was what I kind of was maybe like, oh, she uses a lot of stuff in her hair.
He was like that. He was like, that's my baby.
Like, these are really clean.
He was like, that's my
hair follicles.
Yeah, that's my baby's follicles. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but they were really interesting because I think that like what I got out of the meeting was that no diagnoses for hair loss is the same. It's like everything is different.
They said I had androgenic alopecia. Is it androgenetic or androgenic? I think it's androgenic.
I think it's androgenetic.
I think that we should bet $100 on it, and actually the loser also has to do the grocery store and laundry this week.
Ooh, that's a high bet. Okay.
So I say androgenic, you say androgenetic.
Androgenetic.
Okay, I'm gonna look it up.
Look it up.
I'm all in.
Oh shoot, you're right. Androgenic.
You better get to work, baby boo.
So yeah, no two diagnoses are the same though. So meaning like, you know, I think a lot of people were asking Dani, oh my gosh, like what do you have? Can you tell me? Maybe I have it too. But there's so many factors that go into hair loss. Like,
yeah, you can't.
It can be a mixture of 1,000 different things. So yeah,
I have to sneeze.
It's gonna be so loud.
Jordan, I hate when you say that.
My
sneezes, he gets so mad at me because my sneezes are so loud, and then after I sneeze, he's like, did you really need to sneeze that loud?
There's no
way
like, anyone needs to sneeze as loud
well,
as you
if you would just
okay,
like stop talking for a
breathe
second,
in.
I could maybe sneeze on camera. You know what they say is to look up at the light. Is there a bug? Oh, it's my hair. I lost it.
Okay, we lost it.
Maybe
but it's really...
I have a lot of sneeze. My mom and I do, like my mom does too.
It's selfish what you do.
Oh my
It's selfish
gosh.
because you could just be like...
It's self-care.
But you like...
That's what it is. We talk about the difference between self-care and selfishness because I feel like self-care is like a big thing now. Like everybody's, you know, take your bubble bath, be introverted, do this, do that, do this and do that for yourself. I don't know.
You be introverted.
No, it's like...
Hashtag self-care.
I say that because like I sometimes feel introverted, and like I feel like part of my self-care routine is saying no to people. So like they're like, hey Dani, do you want to go to lunch? And I'm like, no. In my head, I don't say it like that.
Yeah.
But it's like, because I need this time for myself, and that's like my self-care. But then there's like a fine line between self-care and selfishness.
Well, so it kind of brings me to our point. Dani and I got into a fight. We always promised to be real on here, so I figured we should talk about it. We're good now.
It's all good.
But I just felt like Dani was being really selfish, and like I really felt like I wasn't being affirmed and all these things. I don't know. I'm not doing a good job of explaining it.
No, I think you're doing a good job of explaining it. I think that the reason you brought up the love languages book is because we found out, like, we started talking more about each other's love languages, and typically the ones that you're like spouse is what you're not good at.
Yeah.
I've just found that. And so like Jordan's really like words of affirmation, and like if you give me words of affirmation, I'm
She
like,
doesn't care.
What you say?
well, it's
I'm
not
always
that I
like,
don't
hey
care.
babe, you're
It-
so hot. You're so sexy.
and I'm like, thank you.
You're like, whatever.
Okay.
I love you, babe. Like,
Like, love you too. No, I mean, I don't mind it. Like,
Yeah.
I do it. It's just like not, to me, words are words.
right.
And like actions mean so much more than words to me. But for Jordan, like words are everything.
Yeah, and for
So-
Dani, quality time is everything, and that like doesn't mean like that's hard for me to do. Like for both of us to go to the grocery store at the same time, I'm like,
Like, that's
it's
all
so,
I want in life.
It's so much more
For
efficient
us
if you
to
go and I do
go.
this.
Like, if you do that for me, like, honestly, it's not even just you. Like, if anybody goes to the grocery store with me, I feel so loved. We just have to be able to speak each other's languages.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
yeah. So we're gonna try and do this once a week. We'll just kind of recap what's been going on in life and talk about relevant topics of the times and go from there.
Cool. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more videos, make sure you click that subscribe button, and I guess we'll talk to you later. Bye.